In this video, we're going to talk about team building. In your journey from $0 to 2 million, one of the most important things that you can do is build a team. It's a challenge and it's a bit messy, but it's critical. And one of the things I wished early on somebody would have told me is who I need in the boat, who ultimately I will need to work with as I build a business on my journey from 0 to 2 million. Because it's very particular and it's the first time you're going to come in contact with these folks. So I wanted to put a video together just to put you in the right mindset, show you who you're eventually going to have to work with as you build and grow this business. So right off the bat, sales and marketing, critical, but I like to separate them. Mainly because a salesperson in a business to business environment, their job is to fill up the funnel, to fill up the pipeline, and to run an official sales process. They need to be well trained on the product. They need to be passionate about it, know the value proposition, know the pricing, and be able to run it from prospect to signed contract and a kickoff. It's in a business to business environment pretty commonly. And it doesn't matter what type of product you're selling. In most business to business environments, the sales cycle, the sales process works pretty similar. It's very important that you can identify an individual or individuals that are good at sales. They know it is a skill of theirs, it's a strength of theirs, and they're willing to come on board with your team and drive this initiative. Very early on, it's you that's driving the sales as the entrepreneur. And in many cases, it's the last hat that you'll remove. Now, in a, let's say, direct to consumer, business to consumer environment, sales might look different because you might be, let's say, e-commerce, for example, where marketing is driving sales. However, it's the salesperson that's responsible for managing the marketing team. That might be you. Again, you're looking at how much did it cost us to acquire a customer? What is our average revenue per sale? You're still looking at sales metrics. So I put it in the sales bucket. But you want to get someone on your team. And in many cases, it's such a critical hire because this person is driving the revenue of the business. And every business needs revenue to sustain. So it's a very important role. Next person on the team is a marketer. Now, marketing is a very complex web, and there's a lot of niches within the marketing landscape. For example, someone can do local SEO for small businesses, and yet you can have an agency that has global offices that can do 20 different services under the sun, from copywriting to PR and media buying and so on and so forth. So I just picked 4 elements that are pretty common that I see over time. You're going to determine your own marketing mix and who needs to be in the fold. But I just picked 4 here to use it as a framework for the individuals you most likely will work with. Creative, just responsible for the branding and the visual, the design, graphic designs, photo, video shoot, anything that is visual centric or creative centric. You will need to work with someone to help you build out your brand identity and the visual assets you need. Traffic/advertising. This is simply getting your name out there in the media and driving traffic to your website or to your events, or getting you print media or on billboards, what have you. It's good old fashioned advertising. Content. It's such a big category now. I mean, it's really just over the last couple of years been blowing up with YouTubers and TikToks and social media, but someone needs to be in charge of content, newsletters, producing webinars, educational content, podcasts. It's a big task these days. A lot of small businesses start with agencies first before they go and hire in-house because of extended capabilities. And then PR, public relations, getting out into the press, getting out to the media, getting out to events, speaking engagements, being able to wave the banner of who you are, get interviewed, so on and so forth. So these 4 elements come together to make up a good marketing mix. Now, when you're in the $0 to 2 million stretch, you may be doing a lot of this yourself, creating a lot of your own content, producing and editing and designing your own content. Eventually, you can start using freelancers, independent contractors, small agencies. That starts to grow. Maybe hire someone in-house that oversees the marketing. But as far as your team is concerned, marketing is a critical component. The sales and marketing should work together hand in hand. Next is production. So what I mean by production is who is doing the actual work, right? So if you're in a service-based business, who is, let's say, consulting? Who are your consultants? How are they delivering the work? Let's say they write pitch decks and business plans. Who are these folks? They are the producers of a service-based business, the products of a service-based business. If we're in physical products, it's easy to understand. Somebody needs to oversee production. So let's say we're talking about apparel. It's sourcing, it's manufacturing, it's logistics, it's quality assurance and quality control, it's distribution. It's all these things that come into the production of what you produce, the production aspect. In many cases, you have a warehouse manager or an account manager. Someone's ultimately overseeing the work that's getting done. That's a critical team member, because at a certain point in time, you can either produce the work or you can sell the work, but it's very hard to do both. Very, very hard to do both. Next person on the team is customer service. Now, customer service, this is taking care of the clients. It could be virtual assistants. If you're, again, in a high customer volume arena, you might have virtual assistants overseas. It could be a range of things, but somebody needs to take care of the customer. They have complaints, they have issues, there's defects, they want refunds and returns, they want to renegotiate. Someone has to deal with that. And when you're in a small business, sometimes your account manager can also wear that hat, or one person can wear multiple hats. You most likely, if you're just getting started, are going to do the sales, do the marketing, do the delivery of the service or the product, do production, do customer service. But over time, you need to start removing those hats. And this is where these team members become so important, because it frees up your time to focus on more strategic, critical work where your value really lies. Administration, back office support, virtual assistants, executive assistants. There's a lot of great AI tools out there that can transcribe meeting notes. This is very tactical work driven, like data entry, running errands, calendar management. It's low level work. In many cases, it's not worth your time to do it, and it's worth paying someone $15 an hour, or maybe $10 an hour overseas to take care of a lot of lower level tasks. I have seen in my career high powered CEOs running to Costco to pick up snacks and CEOs and coffee, and then they wonder why they don't have time for things. I mean, it's crazy. So just make sure that you understand everything that needs to get done on a day-to-day basis, week to week, month to month basis, and then you determine who needs to do those things and what of those things you really need to do and what you really need to spend your time on. This is why it's so important to have a team, because you could just task people with these things and let them go get it done, so you can spend more time elsewhere. That's really valuable. Administration is one of those things. Human resources, this isn't really needed until your team starts hitting that 8, 10, 12 employee. And by what I mean with really needed, it's you don't really need to hire a full-time HR manager who comes on site in your businesses, is there 40 hours a week. You can use Paychecks, you can use ADP, you can have all kinds of virtual resources or hire HR consultants. And then as your team starts to build and grow and get to 20 employees, 30 employees, 50 employees, hundreds of employees, it becomes more and more important to have an HR team that can conduct reviews and make sure you're compliant with policies and do employee benefits. But in that first $0 to $2 million, you're not there yet. So I say use vendors, use resources. There's great ones out there that can give you all kinds of tools. They can give you handbooks that are written there. Everything's already built for you. There's a lot of out of the box solutions, but you will need to be mindful of human resources as your team starts to grow. Legal, very important to have some kind of legal support. You can start with a LegalZoom doing your LLC, and then move all the way to working with an attorney, a small business attorney, or a general counsel that can help you with contracts, partnership agreements, engagement agreements. They can look at your insurance policies. They can make sure you're compliant, help you if you ever get into hot water with a lawsuit. And there's a lot of benefits to having an attorney on your team that understands your business, understands your industry, and can really just join forces. Most likely your attorney will never be a full-time employee until you get massive. But in the very, very early stages, you want to lock arms with a good attorney that understands what you're up to and how they can protect you. Finance is very important. We talk about capital, having access to capital, or knowing your banker. If there's low interest lines of credit that you can have access to, having a good CPA or a tax attorney, a bookkeeper. Bookkeeping could be administrative, back office support. having someone help you with accounts payable, accounts receivables, managing your QuickBooks, ensuring that your bank balances are matching up, someone to review financial dashboards with you and reporting and P&Ls. This is all the universe of finance. I always like to go through finance with other people versus just myself. I like to make sure they have a qualified individual sitting there and we can just go through P&Ls together and we can have additional perspectives, making sure our margins are right and we're trending in the right direction. Having a finance person on your team is really important. So keep in mind, have a handful of things here for you to keep in mind. In the very beginning, you will wear multiple hats. It's just what it is. So the name of the game then is, which hat do I remove first? Which hat can I remove first? And when I remove that hat, do I have a good process and procedure in place? Do I have a good standard operating procedure to the person that I give the hat to? Do they know how to do the job as well as I was doing it? At least 80% to the point that I was doing it, so I don't have to worry about it. And then I can remove the next hat, the next hat, the next hat. Eventually, you'll find out which hat or hats you're best suited to wear. And that's just where you want to live. Remember, this is all about people. So you want to roll other people in with your passion and vision. This is how you build a team at the very beginning, because you don't really have anything but a big vision. So what's better than money? A massive vision. Hey, come on, we're going to go take over the mountain. Stick with me, kid, and we'll get there together, right? You want people that share your passion and where you're headed that can join you. Always find opportunities to share the wealth with other key players. Always. There's nothing that will buy loyalty than participating in revenue together. Leverage low-cost resources wherever you can. That's just smart. It's common sense. Hire experts anytime you can. Don't try to cut corners when you don't need to cut corners. So when you have some capital, even if it's small, some available capital, just hire an expert whenever you can, because it's going to pay its dividends for you for so long. Leverage technology to offset human costs. As I mentioned, there's a lot of great AI tools out there, a lot of great automation tools, project management tools. So just leverage technology. If you can get it done with a $20 a month subscription versus a $20 an hour person, it's better for you in the long run. Part quickly with the wrong people, the wrong employees, the wrong teammates. Rip the Band-Aid off, move away from them fast, because it can be an absolute time suck and you don't have the time to deal with that. Have a plan for when you bring each person into the fold. Don't let it just happen by happenstance or by chance. Be intentional about each person that comes into the team. When we reach this type of revenue, or when we have this amount of customers or this many clients or this amount of employees, then our next hire is fill in the blank. You should have it all well planned. Remember, your job is not to do everything. And your only job is to inspire others. That's the key. Your only job is to inspire others and to bring people into your vision and to get them to buy in and to want to go take over the mountain with you. That's your primary objective, is to bring people into the fold and to build your team. Your job is not to do everything unless you want to be a solopreneur, an independent contractor, or a freelancer. You just have to be mindful and intentional of what you're building. If you're trying to go from $0 to $2 million, you're going to need people, and you can't do it all on your own. So just keep that in mind. Now, a parting thought here. I'm going to say it again. It's all about people, and it's all about team building, team bonding, culture, shared vision, shared passion. I believe you can get out there and inspire people to come on board and jump in the boat with you and to row in the same direction. So get out there and go build a killer team.